What is up? What is going on, everybody? I am back with the official Seattle Seahawks post-game recap. Had a fun little video. Buddy of mine, we hung out, watched football. It's our Sunday tradition. We get together every Sunday, watch football. So we always have a good time. And that Seahawks game was so frustrating. I had to make a quick video before coming on here for more in-depth recap. Before I get started, if you guys can do me a favor, hit the like button, hit that subscribe button. Next goal is 2,500. I'm about halfway there in terms of from 2,000 subs. So if you guys can hit that sub button, I would greatly appreciate it. Really. And now listen, that little quick 5-minute post-game recap I did, probably a beer too many, probably, you know what I mean? Like, and everything like that. But I don't think I said anything in there that I don't stand by now. That's a really bad loss for the Seattle Seahawks. A really bad loss. If you're here for my Mariners post-game recap, I might have one later. So real quick, if you're here for the Mariners stunk today. Got to move on. They're still in a playoff spot, hopefully getting home. This was an abysmal road trip. Hopefully they can come home, bounce back, and beat the Angels tomorrow. That's my hope with Seattle Mariners. Congratulations to the Seattle Seahawks, because, man, they made me, appreciate the Seattle Mariners more today. At least, you say what you want about the Mariners, at least they're in a playoff position right now. That is a really ugly loss for the Seahawks. Now, listen, is losing one game in 17 the end of the world? No, it is not. Of course not. This team could go 16-1 the rest of the way. I don't know. So, in that sense, is the season over? Absolutely not. There's 16 games to go. I'm sure as heck not throwing in the towel. But against a Rams team that, quite frankly, I just don't think is that good, to come in here and to just really, I know Seattle had the lead at the half and everything, but 30-13. It wasn't even like some fluky blocked kick last second. The Rams pulled it out. They came in and whooped you, similar to the final score of the Niners-Steelers game. I know the Niners probably outplayed the Steelers more than the Rams outplayed the Seahawks, but that is really bad. And this is a year where you've got 8 home games, 9 road games, because the AFC gets the extra home game. So you're now down to 7 home games, 9 road games, 7 home games and 9 road games. You're down 1-0 in the division, and you're going on the road next week. And quite frankly, listen, anything can happen. Are any of you optimistic this team's beating the Lions after this? Again, football things happen. Week 1 is national overreaction week for a reason. People overreact to things. Had they lost to, look at what Dallas is doing to the Giants. Had Dallas come in here and beaten them 27-10, even like a New Orleans team had come in here and beaten them 24-21, I think you can say, okay, this is not a very good Rams roster. I have a ton of respect for Sean McVay. Ton of respect. I even said in my week 1 picks yesterday that I didn't like that Sean McVay had 6 months to prepare for this game. Did not like that at all. That made me nervous. Matthew Stafford, I thought, looked pretty good. I thought he looked better than I thought he was going to look. He looked competent. And I will say this, it feels like a Rams team you'd probably rather play November, December. Stafford maybe gets hurt. Who knows what happens there, and Donald. But regardless of all that, it's still a team, especially without Cooper Kupp, that Seahawks should be beating. If you want to be a legitimate team, it's a team you got to be beating. And this expect we've talked about. There's been people that, NFL experts have had Seattle winning the division this year. You got to beat the Rams if you're going to win the division. Do I think they can still make the playoffs? Well, maybe, but man, that doesn't look like a team that's going to do much damage. It looked pretty weak. The defense today, atrocious. The run defense was better. I'll say that. The thing that hurt this team the most last year was run defense, and it was better. There's also a reason that run defense is probably the least important thing of all the things to be good at. Run defense is the one thing that you can afford to be not that great at, because passing the ball just is more valuable than running the ball. That's not saying running backs don't matter. That's not saying that running the football doesn't matter. But we've seen teams survive getting gashed on the ground. Listen, a perfect example is the Raiders game last year. I mean, Josh Jacobs ran for almost 300 yards in that game, and Seattle was, 10 yards away from probably winning that game in overtime. And the defense was bad in that game, but pass defense matters more. Pass defense was atrocious today. I don't even know if it's the pass defense. I don't know if it was the secondary or if it was the pass rush. Zero pass rush. Zero. Did they even get a hit on Matthew Stafford? I mean, Matthew Stafford is immobile at this point in his career. This wasn't, a rookie Anthony Richardson diving and ducking out of sacks and picking up yards. This wasn't prime Lamar Jackson doing that where you just can't bring him down. There was a play where Stafford was in some pressure, ran out and ran for 10 yards. Matthew Stafford ran for a first down. The guy is on 115 concussions and was able to do that. Again, I'm trying to be silly, but Stafford, again, I thought played a good game. I'm not taking away from him. Zero on the pass rush. The only guy I thought looked somewhat competent was Nwosu. Man, the rest of them, nobody flashed to me in the pass rush. It wasn't just no sacks. It was zero pressures against an offensive line that is not good, against a team that was missing Cooper Kupp, that safety valve to avoid pass rush. That's where Cooper Kupp's so great. Hey, pass rush, get in there, boom, Cooper Kupp, 7 yards. Boom, Cooper Kupp, 6 yards. I mean, nothing. Puka Nacua, 10 catches, 119 yards. Tutu Atwell, 6 catches, 119 yards. That's 16 catches for 240 yards to those two. And again, I don't know if it was the secondary. I don't know if it was the pass rush. I think it was a little more the pass rush. I really do. I think there was just zero pressure on Matthew Stafford. If you don't get to the quarterback, eventually someone is going to find their way open. Not saying the secondary played good, because it can go on the flip side too. If you can't cover, it doesn't matter how, if receivers are open like that, the pass rush can't get home. I think it's a combination of both. It doesn't have to be one or the other. I'm going to blame the pass rush a little bit more today, but the secondary was bad as well. Nobody on the pass rush stepped. Like I said, I thought Nwosu looked okay. I mean, Draymond Jones didn't even hear his name. I had forgotten they signed him watching this game. Where was he? No pressure up the middle. Jaron Reed was decent against the run. No, cool. Listen, I don't think Jaron Reed's a bad football player at all. I think Jaron Reed's a perfectly acceptable rotational player. Do I think Jaron Reed should be your every down defensive tackle playing 60 snaps a game? Nope. But Jaron Reed wasn't the problem today. Didn't see Darrell Taylor get any pass rush. Didn't see anybody. Didn't see anybody get home today against an O-line that's just not that good. I gave the Seahawks, D-line, and I gave the outside linebackers, I think, a B-, a B+ in my grades, and the D-line a D+. I said I think this pass rush is going to be streaky this season. I think it's going to have games where it goes off, and then against really good O-lines, it's going to disappear a little bit. This was the game I thought it would actually go off. I thought this was a bad O-line that they would get 5 or 6 sacks. I thought they would. I was like, Stafford's kind of a statue. Someone will get home and they'll find a way to get some sacks in this game. Next week, you're facing a much better offensive line. Now, I do think Sean McVay's a little bit better of a play caller than Ben Johnson. I think Stafford's probably a little bit more savvy than Jared Goff, but the talent is way better on Detroit. It is. That's the thing that gets me. One game, sure. In general, it's just one game. I didn't think the Seahawks were going 17-0. But that's fine if they would have lost 27-24 to the Bengals on the road. If they had gone to Baltimore today and lost 20-17, I'd say, you know what? Thought maybe we could steal one in Baltimore. It couldn't happen. Move on. This is one you feel like you got to win. You only have 7 home games left versus 9 road games. And boy, has the Lumen Field advantage just died or what? And I'm not blaming the fans. But man, 1, it does not seem nearly as loud as it used to be there. And 2, this has not been a great home team for a while. You know what part of that is? The team just hasn't been as good. Like, you know what? You know why the team was so good at home for so many years? Because they were a darn good football team. And teams tend to play better at home than they do on the road. Simple as that. Disappointing. Just the defense bad. The offense bad too. I mean, the second half just atrocious. I get Charles Cross and Abraham Lucas got hurt, and that's a killer blow. I guess if anything, you could say like, hey, we realized how good Lucas and Cross are because without them, that offensive line couldn't protect at all. Against the pass rush, that I don't think is that great. Aaron Donald's amazing, but that's about it. And they were nothing without those guys. Well, they have 3 yards in the second half. Maybe they had some in the last drive. I don't know. But it was something similar to that. Nothing. They played pretty well in the first half. They honestly did. I thought they looked pretty solid. If it weren't for Jason Myers miss another guy that I'm kind of about done with, to be perfectly honest, Jason Myers. Too many of those. Missed a 39-yarder, which would have put them up 2 scores at the half. Would have been 16-7. I mean, they played pretty good. I thought Michael Jackson on that block kick took a really weird route and could have even scored on that. I'm not going to – it's hard to harp on not scoring on a blocked field goal as being a reason you lost a game. But all that compounded, yeah, they didn't take any real shots downfield. There was a 3rd and 4 when I think it was 17-13 to DK that wasn't close. I don't think Geno was like terrible or any. It was a hard game to judge Geno. I mean, 16 of 26 for 112 and a touchdown, like not good enough. 4.3 yards per attempt, not good enough. But I don't know what to make of the game from Geno. I didn't think he was atrocious or anything, but they've still all around got to be better, right? Like it's kind of a team thing. Kenneth Walker, I thought, ran the ball well, 12 for 64. That was about it. Receiving wise, DK had the touchdown, which was cool. And then the opening drive was really good. The first 15 that Waldron scripted looked good. And after that, just not a whole lot. Lockett caught 2 for 10, kind of invisible. JSN, pretty invisible. Tight ends didn't do much. Noah Fant didn't do anything. Disley had a first down catch, which was nice. Only throwing for 112 yards is not much to talk about with the receiving corps. Going back to it, I thought they played okay in the first half. I thought they played solid. I thought they looked good in the first half. There was a couple, that touchdown drive by the Rams was frustrating. But even that one, it was like 18 plays, 80 yards. Like, it wasn't like the Rams were just, it was a lot of little chunk plays that got them. It happens. I thought for the most part, they played all right, and they should have been up 16-7. Second half, who made halftime adjustments? Looks like Sean McVay and his staff did. Pete Carroll and his staff did not. If you are on the fire Pete Carroll train, today was a pretty good, what's the word I'm looking for? Feather in your cap for it. Because that's atrocious. That is absolutely atrocious. I'm not on the fire Pete Carroll train. I'm not. You guys probably know if I'm defending Scott Service, I'm probably defending Pete Carroll. But that was not impressive at all. I can't think of much else to say. I'm not going to fire anybody after 1 week of football, but man, was that really bad. Really bad. That might have been the worst loss any team had in week 1. I might say, since he played Cleveland. Cleveland, I think, if Watson is taking away everything you think about Deshaun Watson, if football-wise, like Deshaun Watson, if he's back 2020, is a good football player. Kansas City lost at home without Chris Jones, without Travis Kelce to a decent Lions team. Like, who else had a worse loss? Pittsburgh looked worse, but Pittsburgh's playing one of the best teams in football in the Niners. Maybe the Bears, just for expectations. Maybe the Bears. But I think Green Bay is better than the Rams, to be honest. Like, and I'm not trying to knock the Rams. This isn't meant to be an insult. I have a ton of respect for Sean McVay. And I thought Stafford looked solid. If that's the Matthew Stafford the Rams get the entire year, I think they'll be a little more competitive than we think they are going to be. But I still don't think they're very good. And what's going to happen next week when they play the Niners and the Niners beat them up? How's that going to look if that's what happens? If the Rams come out and kick the Niners' butt next week and Seattle beats Detroit, I'll change my tune a little bit. I will. A lot of time left, and tunes can be changed. But, that's a bad loss. It really is. And an uninspiring loss, to be honest, too. Just really, really ugly football all the way across the board. All the way across the board. Offense wasn't good enough. Defense was bad. Same stuff. Well, maybe not the same stuff on defense because, I don't know, same stuff in the secondary. Guys just getting open that you wonder, how do these teams get things open? And then Seattle runs the plays, and it's like, it looks like it takes every ounce of energy they have to get 6 yards. Yet other teams snap the ball, throw it, boom, 12 yards, no problem. I mean, these receivers should not be killing you. What were the Rams on third down? 11 of 17 on third down. Atrocious. Absolutely atrocious from this defense. I mean, maybe they wake up and maybe the Lions are on a high and you catch them off guard and beat them next week. I'm looking for anything, guys. I'm looking for anything. The best silver lining I can think of from this game is that there's 16 left and no football team is defined by one game over the course of their season. No team is. There is time to make up for this. Even if you lose next week, if you can win against Carolina, be 1-2, or so, at least I'll feel like, okay, maybe something. I don't know. I don't know. But man, is that a ugly loss, in my opinion. Truthfully, to the point where, like, I can't even do a Mariners post game. Like, you want to keep ranting on the Mariners right now? Really? Because that team would be in the postseason if it began today. I get it. They did not have a great road trip. They're still all right. Like, let's see what happens. But this was far, far uglier to me. This was like, I'm as down on the Seahawks after week 1 as I've been on the Mariners at any point this season. Any point, honestly. Like, that was like the equivalent of the Mariners having a 6-game homestand against the A's and White Sox and going 0-6 or something. I don't know. I can't. Rams probably a little better than that, but you know what I mean? Like, that's the level I'm at with this loss. Like, to the point, you can't have it happen. Got to bounce back, see what happens. One game, again, I said it 20 times this video, one game does not define a season, but that's a poor start. It's about as poor of a start as you can get. The first 30 seconds of a marathon don't define it, but if you fell down and are writhing around in pain and no one's bringing in any water, it's certainly not you're not feeling great after it. So we'll see what happens. Have a great night, everybody. I'm going to get out of here. Mariners video tomorrow. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Take care, everybody, and have a great night. Go Hawks. Go Mariners. Peace.